Today, we continue our deep dive into the Agile Manifesto Principles, focusing on how they guide us in crafting workplaces where human potential thrives. We'll discuss the need to build around motivated individuals, not just by assigning tasks or by nurturing conditions that don't develop excellence and innovation. Instead, we do what we need in order to be able to create those conditions for the teams. We'll also clarify common misconceptions about face to face communication in a digital era, explore how working products or services truly measure progress, and examine how AI can support teams in achieving a sustainable pace. These principles, increasingly relevant, show us how to integrate technology while safeguarding human dignity and creativity. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Agile for AI. I'm Sean, a lean Agile coach with over 20 years of experience and deep passion for Agile and AI. Agile transformed my life, and I believe it holds a key to navigating our AI-powered future with integrity and purpose. I'm excited to hear your thoughts today as we explore how Agile can be a true partner in these evolving times. Let's jump in. So we've been talking about the Agile Manifesto. The Agile Manifesto contains a set of values and principles. There are 4 values and 12 principles. If you haven't watched already, I've already put together the video for the values and principles. I'll put a link in the description. As we look into the principles, we need to remember that they are the glue. They're the piece that allows us to figure out, to give a framework, some guidance, some advice on how to connect us, keep us connected between the Agile values that are the very core of Agile and day-to-day real-world situations that we have to do. Therefore, it's really important that we have a connection, that we feel some type of recognition that the Agile values and principles relate to what we do, relate to what our work is, the things that we care about. One very common challenge that I've encountered is that because the Agile Manifesto was written in context of software development, a lot of teams don't relate to it. Their operations, so they just don't do anything, even technology related. And as a result, people many times assume that Agile doesn't apply to them. This is not true. I have used the Agile Manifesto and Agile in general in any number of different industries, and it always applies. We just need to tweak it a little bit. So when you take a look at the Agile Manifesto, if you haven't already, in its website, you'll see that it's slightly different to the version that I'm using. I've lightly edited it in order to make it more relevant to anybody who's reading it. So keep that in mind. So let's dive in. The first one, building products and services around motivated individuals. Give them opportunity and support they need and trust them to get the job done. This is such an important one, and it's a principle that reminds us that it's not about the frameworks. It's not about the processes and tools. Yes, those are important, and there's a reason for them to be there. And I also want to caution you that as you're learning, as you're getting started, it is important that you follow the rules. There's skills that you're developing as you do that, and they're designed to guide us step by step to get from where we are today to where we need to be. So don't ignore them. And it's not agile to say that it has to be this particular way and there's no other way, and that's what you have to do. That's a prescription. When I've seen this happen in agile transformations, what's really going on is that many of the people who are behind the agile transformation, who are day to day, even with the teams or working with leadership, they themselves have not really achieved a level of agility. They are still operating with a waterfall mindset. And in the waterfall mindset, there's a prescription, there is a method, there is a way of doing things, and you follow it line by line, step by step. It has to be this particular way. That's not agile. Agile has to be flexible. Again, start off by doing it the way that whatever framework or tool or process that you're trying to implement says. It's important. Do that. Give it a try. Learn from it. And once you have mastered, once you have understood why it's important, what's important about it, Now adapt it to what makes sense to you, what works for your team. That's really important. We can't achieve that if we don't allow teams to become self-organized, self-managed. Now, when we do that, we need to be compassionate with our leadership. Remember, based on the conversations that I've already had, that leadership has been programmed, trained for thousands of years to have this overpowering persona, to take charge, take control, drive things. And all of a sudden, we're saying the team can do that themselves. That's a big leap of faith. That's a very scary thing. If you're in a leadership position and you're asked to do that, that is scary. I've been there. I've gone through that. I understand what that is. It doesn't make sense initially. It's really scary. And for many very well-intended leaders, it feels almost like you're abandoning the team. You've always been taught to be there and watch out for the team and make sure that the team is successful, and it becomes your responsibility. You put it on your shoulders. You really want to do everything you can to make sure that the team is successful. And in the process, you end up micromanaging them and telling them what to do every 5 minutes, which doesn't work. Certainly not if you want any amount of innovation, creativity from your teams. We have to let go as leaders, and that's a scary thing to do. And Agile doesn't say to do that just haphazardly and, oh, don't worry about it. It'll all figure itself out. It'll work out. That's risky. That's not business savvy. The Agile processes and tools, the frameworks, have built-in feedback loops, checking mechanisms to make sure that we don't deviate, that we don't go astray too far. And when we do, and we will, there's an opportunity to recover. That's built into it. That creates the opportunity to have that space and allow things to develop in a way that is more natural, more casual, more free. This is self-organization. It's allowing the teams to develop their own personality and live with it, because that's going to allow them to be the most creative. Excellence doesn't happen when you're constrained. It happens when people have that freedom to explore, to make mistakes, to learn from them. Leadership's role is really, really critical to allow that. And one of the ways that leadership can help is by removing impediments, not creating them. If leadership is enforcing the framework has to be followed and it has to be done and all this strict stuff, that's actually creating an impediment to agility. Again, at the beginning, it's important that we follow it. We're not going to learn it if we never respect it and we don't give it a try. Follow it, learn, and then adapt it. There are phases in our Agile transformation. It's not the same all across. We'll talk about that at a later time, but there's something called shuhari. I'll mention it in a future video. But the gist of it is that there is a beginning when we need to follow things. Then there's a middle point where we're starting to experiment. And that experimentation is really important. We learn from it. Teams need to be empowered to learn, to try things. And then later, they've achieved such level of mastery that they get to write the book. They get to figure out what works best for them. That's what this principle enables. It enables us to create the conditions where teams will be able to do that. It's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. And we have to create the conditions for that to happen, which will foster innovation. And in the process, will build trust. Remember what I said as a leader, it's a really scary thing to let go. We need to learn to trust the team. And that only happens if the team delivers. In my coaching, one of the things that I tell the teams is that it's sacred. You cannot not deliver. You have to meet your commitments. So be careful what you commit to. Never overcommit and underdeliver. Do the opposite. Undercommit and overdeliver. That's going to increase the trust. And when we do that consistently, leadership learns that it's okay to take a step back and allow things to happen. Both sides need to be working together. And this works not just between leadership and the delivery teams. It also works between business and the implementation group. Whether it's technology or not, it doesn't matter. But there's a separation between business, what's driving the company, the organization, and what's executing the work that needs to be done. Those lines, AI blurs them, and it will blur them even further. I'm starting to see it. And we need to build trust. That trust allows for the fluidity to be able to execute in the optimum way. So now we look at the second one for principle for today, which is that the most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within the delivery team is face-to-face conversation. Now, this one, especially today, is a bit controversial. First, let's talk about what it means. Try to think that with the advent of computers and digital communications, it's become very easy to just put something in an email or a DM and throw it out there into the internet to wait for something to happen. We're throwing things over the wall. That's not an effective way of communicating. That creates silos, it creates separation, and it doesn't give opportunity for real-time clarification on what is meant. Therefore, people make assumptions, and then they go and they act on those assumptions, and that ends up oftentimes creating big messes and they need to be cleaned up. This is not efficient. This takes a lot of time to repair the damage that's been done as a result of not having had clear communications in the first place. So recognizing that, and this is why I say that establishing context and having clear communications in Agile is foundational. This develops trust in what we're doing and how we're interacting with each other. And the best way to have those effective communications is quote unquote face-to-face. Now, early on, when we started on the Agile journey, yes, people were saying that you had to be co-located. It was the only way to do this. This was a mistake. It's a big mistake. Of course, if you're in the same room, it's going to be easier to get through some things. And if we stick to that with rigidity, I'm sorry, but it doesn't make any sense to do Agile in multinationals, where you'll never be in the same room at the same time with all the entire team. Or what I've seen happen in some multinationals, which is tragic, is that they create geographic fracturing of teams and functions to align to this, you have to be in the same room to be working together. Absolutely not. No. What you need to do is find the best skilled team members, wherever they are, it doesn't matter. Don't constrain your knowledge pool to the 50-mile radius for commute. That doesn't make any sense. That's limiting organizations. That's starving organizations of the best talent available to help them meet their needs. Find the talent wherever it is, doesn't matter. And make sure that there are opportunities for people to see each other. We have audiovisual technologies today that work. Use them. So many times I see teams that are on Zoom or whatever product they use, and they have the cameras off. No, turn the cameras on. Allow us to see the nonverbal communications. They say a lot. They're part of human communications. Use them. Use the technologies effectively. Otherwise, you might as well just be writing emails and DMs to each other, and that's not effective. So we really need to underscore that having opportunities for that human connection, being able to see each other, having the immediate feedback. Oh, I think I heard you say this. Is that what you meant? Clarifying questions, active listening. This is a very good practice. You hear something and then you say, okay, just to make sure that I understood, this is what I heard. And you say it, you restate it with your own words. That's an excellent opportunity for somebody to say, oh, hold on a minute, no, there's been a miscommunication. That's not what I meant. I meant this. Oh, great. Okay, now I get it. Now I understand. If we don't have that real-time opportunity to check with each other, to understand what we meant, this is where we can start going off the wrong path. There are ways to have virtual interactions. Use them. Balance your communications. Of course, if there are opportunities to get together, maybe on a quarterly basis, maybe on a yearly basis, I don't know, whatever we can afford as a company and whatever makes sense, practical sense, Let's do that. Absolutely. That enhances our opportunity to connect to each other, not just from a business perspective, but as human beings. I've learned so much from people over lunch. Knowing that they like certain types of food. I've discovered that people like foods that I like too. Then we can have a conversation about that. And it makes our interactions more human, more natural. Now I can see more of a friend than just simply a coworker that I don't really know anything about. It's important to get together if we can. And if we can't, then let's use the virtual interactions, but use them effectively so that we have those good communications with each other. This RTO, return to office minded, is really hurting companies. Again, when we impose a 50 radius limit to the knowledge, to the expertise that we can leverage to build our businesses, that makes absolutely no sense. Let's avoid doing that. Let's increase our radius to the entire world and whatever we can leverage to make us be successful. Don't create artificial barriers and have those good communications that make sure that we're always staying on track to what we need to do. Moving to the next, working products and services is the primary measure of progress. This one ties directly to the agile value of working products and services is the primary measure of progress. So this principle reinforces that. It tells us that what's valuable is what the customer cares about. We define what value means. It's not just about delivering to internal stakeholders. It's about delivering what's of greatest value to our customers as the primary, most important delivery. It doesn't mean that we ignore our stakeholders. It doesn't mean that we ignore people internal to our company. After all, they're the ones who are right there. We're going to deal with them every day. And if we create unpleasant interactions and relationships, that's not going to be fun. So no, we can't ignore them. And in our conversations, in our prioritization, in our discussions, we always make sure to stay focused and present that the customer's value, definition of value, is the most important. And delivering to them delivering to them what is important, the most important to them, is the way to satisfy their needs. It's the way to make them happy. So we need to consider quality, timing, and the customer. We always have to stick to delivering products of quality that are relevant, that meet the customer's needs, and that do so in the timeliest manner possible. This is how we're going to be perceived. This is what's going to create the perception of our customers if we're a good company, a good partner to be working with or not. We need to assess the team's ability to deliver within those, in that focus, with that priority. Does the team have everything that it needs to deliver the products and services that are best for our customers? Are they missing anything? This relates back to the first principle review today. Look at the impediments. Maybe the team doesn't have certain capabilities, certain expertise. Well, then let's do an assessment. Let's figure out what's preventing the team from being able to deliver those value products and services. And make sure that we do whatever we can. That's an impediment. Make sure that we do whatever we can so that the team is well prepared, well equipped to deliver that. The key is that we're not saying that they have what they need to keep our internal company stakeholders happy. That's not the priority. It's important, but that's not the priority. The priority is making sure that they deliver the services, products and services that our customers want and are going to be happy with. And they keep in mind and satisfy the stakeholders' needs as best possible. So moving along to the last Agile principle that we'll cover for today, and that's that Agile processes promote sustainable delivery. The sponsors, delivery team, and users should be able to maintain a constant implementation pace indefinitely. Now, This resonates with what Lean talks about. Lean has this concept of flow. Once we've established the workflow that leads to delivering something of value from the customer's perspective, we want to establish that workflow. We want to create it. We want to set it up in such a way that it can continuously, constantly, indefinitely perform at a sustainable pace. Sustainable doesn't mean that while teams are going crazy, burning the midnight oil every single time that there's a delivery. No, that's not sustainable. People will burn out. It's not about driving the whatever systems, processes, machines. Maybe this is manufacturing and there's a machine involved in the process and you're always running it to its maximum capacity all the time. That is not sustainable. Your machines are going to break eventually. We need to figure out what is sustainable indefinitely. We need to be comfortable with that statement. If you're today operating in a way that's just feels like this massive boulder on your shoulders, and I use the words sustainable indefinitely, that probably makes you very nervous. That means that the system that we've created is not sustainable. It needs to be. So we need to look at that definition. We need to look at what it is that the business needs and make sure that we align it with what we have in order to deliver it. Now, there's a bit of good news and challenge that we need to address. Where AI is concerned, this is where AI can really make a huge difference. Because AI is going to allow us to remove a lot of the blockages, a lot of the impediments, a lot of the things that are slowing us down. Maybe those blockages come in the form of business not having enough time to put together clear descriptions of what's needed in a timely manner for teams to execute, which keeps pushing and pushing things back, reducing the amount of time available to teams to execute, and making it harder for them to deliver. This is a cascading problem. Well, AI can help. We can use AI to help us refine our business strategies, to help us create a business strategy if we don't have one, to verbalize it and communicate, to synthesize the rough thoughts that we have into something that's actionable, something that's clear. AI can help us tremendously, save us a huge amount of time to be able to do that. Similarly, if you flip look at it not from the business side, but from the implementation side, same thing. Implementation teams can use AI to help them remove a lot of the tedious, repetitive, time-consuming work that's not the most value add of what they can do. AI can streamline all that, free us up, give us more time to focus on the really important, meaty puzzles. That makes the job as an implementation team is much more interesting, less tedious, less monotonous, and a lot more fun. So all sides stand to benefit by integrating AI into their workload, into their workflows in such a way that enhances their ability to deliver at a sustainable pace, always sustainable indefinitely. AI can really help us get there. It can increase our productivity tremendously, and it can support both teams and business, creating a balance between the pace that we're imposing, that we need to meet, and the quality that we're delivering. We don't have to sacrifice them. So, what's really important in looking at this and thinking about how AI can help us is that in all of these areas that we've discussed, AI can be an enabler if we use it in a way that preserves human creativity, that bolsters it, that supports it. It can really enable. By removing a lot of the overhead, repetitive, monotonous drudgery in our jobs, it opens up the opportunity for us to be creative, to be innovative, to think. I don't know if it's happened to you, but so many times there's so much pressure that we just don't have time to think. And all we're doing is just executing, not in a very original, creative way, but just because we have to deliver. AI can really change that. And it can increase the productivity horizons for our teams. What we thought today was impossible to do And Agile came in and helped us achieve that. I've worked with teams that have said it. If you told me a year ago that we'd be performing at this level, I wouldn't have believed you that that was possible without doubling the size of our teams. Agile has helped us. It has shown us how it's possible to do it. And now, powered by AI, the horizons for what we define as productivity today are going to be broken. We're going to be talking about productivity levels that are far, far, far off the scale compared to what we know. It's not going to happen overnight. It'll take time. And it's possible to do. We can already see that happening. And as it's happening, this will shift our culture. It will change the way that we look at things. It will, if today we have a natural proclivity to be very overly conservative or afraid of making certain commitments, AI can help us break far beyond those commitments, those levels. That's going to require a shift in our mindset. It's going to require for us to learn this new accelerated way of doing things. And this is why I see Agile as a stepping stone, as a bridge between the waterfall ways of doing things and the AI ways of doing things. Consider that when in fully waterfall, you're talking about months of talking about what it is that we're going to do before we start any of the work. And then we spend months, maybe years working on it before we'd actually deliver something. The time scale is completely different. Agile sped that up. Agile put us in a different modality where we're continuously delivering. And making that progression, that's painful. That requires a lot of adaptation, a lot of shifting of our mindset, of the way that we look at things, the way that we think things. And AI is going to accelerate it even more. Maybe in the future, we're talking about hours, not days, not weeks, not months of the cycle of coming up from ideas and delivering to customers. At some point in the future, I'm sure they'll be instantaneous. So we really need to look closely at this journey that we're taking. We really need to look at what it's going to take from us, the adaptation, the evolution, the learning, in order to get there. If we haven't taken the time to move into this Agile space, augmenting our skill set that we already have from Waterfall, and adding the layer of agility, it's going to be very difficult, very painful for us to operate at the AI speed levels. So this is a really good opportunity for us to leverage what Agile has to offer to help us have an easier AI transformation. So how are you doing in your workplace? Have you incorporated these elements so that when I start talking about this long-term sustainable, indefinitely sustainable, fast-paced and faster, does that make you nervous? Does that make you excited? How is that going? Take a look. And please, put in a comment. As always, if I've earned it, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And be sure to leave that comment so that I can have a nice conversation. Thank you for watching.